What if 90 seconds of discomfort could measurably slow down brain aging? It sounds extreme, I know. But over the past several years, researchers studying cold water immersion have found something genuinely remarkable happening inside the brain: changes in inflammation, in neurotransmitter production, and even in the growth of new brain cells. This is not an ice bath influencer trend. This is real, peer-reviewed neuroscience, and in this video I am going to walk you through exactly what the research shows, how it works, and how to start safely and responsibly. Here is the mechanism researchers believe drives this effect. When your body is exposed to cold water, particularly water below 15 degrees Celsius, or 59 degrees Fahrenheit, it triggers what is called the cold shock response. Your sympathetic nervous system activates sharply, releasing a surge of norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter and hormone that plays a direct role in attention, focus, and mood regulation. A study published in the European Journal of Applied Physiology found that a single cold water immersion session increased circulating norepinephrine levels by as much as 200 to 300%. That is not a small effect. That is one of the largest natural norepinephrine increases documented from any non-pharmacological intervention. The first brain benefit is a measurable reduction in systemic inflammation. Cold exposure has been shown in multiple studies to reduce levels of pro-inflammatory cytokines, the same inflammatory compounds we discussed in earlier videos, as a direct driver of neuroinflammation, and a contributor to memory decline after 40. A study from Radboud University in the Netherlands found that individuals trained in cold exposure techniques were able to voluntarily suppress their inflammatory immune response, something researchers previously believed was involuntary and outside conscious control. For your brain specifically, lower systemic inflammation means less inflammatory damage to the synaptic connections that memory and cognitive function depend on. The second brain benefit is an increase in brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, the same protein we discussed in relation to morning walking, responsible for growing new neural connections and protecting existing ones. Research published in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that cold water immersion measurably increased BDNF levels following exposure, likely driven by the norepinephrine surge triggered during the cold shock response. This means cold exposure and morning movement may work through overlapping and potentially additive biological pathways, both converging on the same brain maintenance system. The third brain benefit is improved mood regulation and mental resilience over time. A randomized controlled trial published in the journal Cortex found that participants practicing regular cold water immersion reported significant reductions in symptoms of low mood, alongside improvements in general well-being scores. Researchers believe this occurs through a combination of the norepinephrine surge and a psychological effect called hormetic stress, the concept that brief, controlled exposure to a manageable stressor builds long-term resilience, both physically and mentally. In simple terms, deliberately facing something uncomfortable, in a safe and controlled way, appears to strengthen your brain's capacity to handle stress overall. Before I explain how to start, I need to be very direct about safety, because this is not a habit like drinking water or taking a walk, where the risks are minimal. Cold water immersion causes a real, measurable cardiovascular stress response, including a rapid increase in heart rate and blood pressure upon initial entry. For most healthy adults, this is a manageable and temporary response. But if you have any heart condition, high blood pressure that is not well controlled, or any cardiovascular risk factors, you must speak with your doctor before attempting cold water immersion. This is not optional. Sudden cold water entry has been linked, in rare cases, to serious cardiac events, particularly in people with undiagnosed heart conditions. Never immerse alone, especially when starting out. Never force yourself to stay in longer than feels manageable. And never combine cold water immersion with alcohol, which impairs your body's ability to respond appropriately to the cold shock. If your doctor has confirmed you are healthy enough to try this, here is the responsible way to begin. Start with cold showers, not ice baths. 30 seconds of cold water at the end of your normal shower is a safe, low-risk entry point that still triggers the same norepinephrine response. After 1 to 2 weeks of consistency, you can gradually extend to 60 to 90 seconds. Only after building the tolerance should you consider a dedicated cold plunge or ice bath, and even then, 2 to 3 minutes in water around 10 to 15 degrees Celsius is the range most research studies have used, not the extreme durations sometimes shown on social media. More is not automatically better, and pushing too far, too fast, is where the real risk lies. Cold exposure and the nutritional strategies I cover on this channel actually work well together. Both reduce neuroinflammation, both support BDNF production, and both contribute to the same overall goal of protecting your brain's synaptic health as you age. If you are also looking at the nutritional side of brain protection, Advanced Memory Formula, which I have discussed in previous videos, contains DHA omega-3 and phosphatidylserine, both of which support the same anti-inflammatory and neuromaintenance pathways we have talked about today. I have linked it in the description if you want to look into it, alongside whatever cold exposure routine you decide, if any, is right for you. Let me leave you with the simple version. Cold water immersion may reduce brain inflammation, increase BDNF, and improve mood resilience through a norepinephrine surge triggered by controlled cold exposure. Start small, with cold showers. Get medical clearance first if you have any cardiovascular risk factors. Never push extremes. And remember, this is one tool among many, not a replacement for sleep, movement, nutrition, or the other habits we have covered on this channel. If this was useful, please subscribe. I cover brain health research like this every Tuesday. Take care of your brain and yourself. See you next Tuesday.